You know, there's been a lot of reports out there. I can't say I agree with all of them, certainly. But I support this guy. You know, I think that's what needs to be said. I don't know what anybody's writing or what anybody thinks, but this foot injury wasn't his fault. You know, this was a total accident. It really wasn't his fault, and it's a serious injury. I know some people are smarting at it, but it's really not a laughing matter. The guy was hurt. He was innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. And the helmet thing is a personal matter to him. You know, he has a strong feeling about what he's worn on his head, and we're supporting him.
John Gruden from Saturday night after the preseason game against the Rams, supporting Antonio Brown because he really has no choice but to support him, despite the frozen feet, despite the refusal to wear one of the approved helmets and the insistence on wearing an outdated helmet that can no longer be certified. That has inspired today's draft. Yes, it's here. Craziest off-field storylines in NFL history. Nothing crazy about the coin toss because it's rigged. Chris is going to call tails and he's going to win. Go ahead. I already have it figured out.
Go ahead. Tails. Yep, I feel tails today. Oh, I'm on fire. Let's keep it going.
It's a Monday and it's a tails day. Woo. I knew it. All right, go ahead. What do you got?
Okay. I mean, I don't, I hate to go down like negative Nancyville here, okay, with all negative stuff, but the crazy ones are mostly negative, so.
There aren't many crazy good stories.
Yes, exactly right.
There aren't.
So the Michael Vick dogfighting, I think, has got to lead the list for me. All right, I mean, and not only because of the craziness of the whole situation and the improperness and the foul play, and I, as an animal lover, hate to see everything that happens. Certainly, I mean, I got dogs myself and all of that. But what makes it even crazier is that this happened at a time when Michael Vick was arguably the most famous, most electric player in the NFL, unlike anything we had ever seen. I mean, we're sitting here raving about Kyler Murray and things he's done and Baker Mayfield. We never saw anything like Michael Vick got unveiled to the NFL. Now, he did his time. He's learned from his mistake and moved on, and I'm a big fan of Michael Vick.
Don't call it a mistake.
Yes,
Don't call it a mistake.
Well, yeah, it's not
a mistake. It was a lifestyle. It was a 6-year lifestyle of dogfighting, of criminal activity that would have continued, but for the fact that it was detected. It was not a mistake. That's the one thing that gets me fired up when I hear about them. Oh, it was a mistake. It was a corrupt and criminal lifestyle and cruel. And now that I have a dog, oh boy, if I'd have had a dog back in 2007, I thought I was rough on Mike Vick then. And I didn't own a dog, and I didn't love a dog the way I love my dog. I would have driven down to Virginia, and I'd have found Mike Vick.
All right, well, he went to jail, and he did his time, and he's done a lot of good things since then. So you're right. I'm wrong in saying it was a mistake. It was just a horrible act by him and friends and whatever else. It was just horrible, all of it. There's nothing I could say. There's no excuse for Michael Vick.
Get me fired up on a
Monday
morning.
I get you. He was stupid.
And let me tell you,
yes.
He didn't do all the time he should have done because the prosecutor in Surrey County, Virginia, that was hell-bent on letting this guy get away with all of it, when the opportunity came to get him indicted on cruelty to animal charges, which were separate and apart from the federal charges that he ultimately pleaded guilty to, and he could have gone to jail for a long time for killing dogs that he deemed were unfit to fight, drowning, electrocution. Remember all that?
Yes.
He did not go to prison for that. He should have been indicted. He should have been convicted. He should have been imprisoned in Virginia for that.
Okay, we're not retrying the guy again, okay? We're just going the craziest off the field this offseason.
I'm just telling you.
Jeez.
If you're trying to say he paid his debt to society, I'm saying there's an unpaid debt in Virginia that was never. Hey, man,
this is why I was scared of this draft with you. Negative Nancy, I knew you can't help it.
I'm just speaking truth, bro.
I know
man,
you are.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The guy chose to use his millions on a corrupt and criminal enterprise that involved abject and total cruelty to animals. He deserves all the criticism he gets. And the thing that bothers me, we act like it never happened now. Hey, it's Mike Vick. He's doing this. He's doing that. Forget about it. Forget about it. I'm done with that. All right, let me move on to something that is also negative, but a lot funnier than dogfighting. The Love Boat. How was that not your first choice? There was nothing crazier than the Love Boat. 2005 bye-week excursion on Lake Minnetonka. Multiple Vikings players decide it would be a good idea to rent a boat and also fly in some prostitutes.
The Love
and
Boat.
It just kind of went from there. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Oh, is that?
There's
I
more
thought I
that
don't know. I
can
get a
be
chance
said.
to talk now and say everything I want
Go
to say
ahead.
about the Love Boat.
Go ahead.
There was
Go
a
ahead.
lot of love going on in the Love Boat. That's all I have to say. Okay.
All right. I don't know how much it was actually love.
Yeah.
But all right. What do you got
Yeah,
next?
maybe it was lust. You're right. I think we go lust. Okay. I mean, gosh, I just feel horrible about even bringing this. Aaron Hernandez. That's one of the craziest things ever. Okay. Yes. A star player for the greatest franchise in the NFL right now. Gets accused and, of course, is found guilty and convicted of murdering someone. Again, I hate to even talk about this stuff again. It kind of giving me chills through the spines here. And I know Aaron Hernandez is no longer with us, but still, the fact that Aaron Hernandez was such an integral part of that New England Patriot team, very liked and respected with the team, super talented. I mean, he is part of this new breed of tight end that we see now. Aaron Hernandez was before his time. He was one of the first of his kind, this tight end / slot receiver / you can put him at running back sometimes. He can do all these different things. But Gronkowski, Hernandez, the Patriots, how do you stop the Patriots 2 tight end set? He has this issue, and it's just something you don't expect to happen to the New England Patriots. And it was just a crazy story from a guy who had a crazy upbringing. There's no excuse for what he did. He certainly was lost in his own mind and in the world in general, but that's got to be one of the craziest ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, over the years when you do this and you're working on these stories every day, the things that just stop you in your tracks and become the centerpiece of everything that you are writing about. And it becomes all consuming, and there's 50 different angles, and it doesn't go away anytime soon. And I think the fact that, these stories that linger for days, weeks, and months, and that have consequences that go well beyond the events, those are the ones that fall into the category of the craziest stories. And so I have to stay in that category, Chris. I have to go Ray Rice. Right? And it's not just the knockout punch, the horrendous, inexcusable act. It's everything that came after it. It almost took down a commissioner, for crying out loud, because of the question of whether or not the NFL had the video of that incident.
Yes.
At the time that he was initially suspended only 2 games. Did they have the video? Did they lie about the video? There was a good 10-day period where I think the commissioner's tenure was up in the air. There was enough pushback, and I think there were owners who were like, why do we I remember the argument. Why do we need to subject ourselves to this? We can find somebody else to do what the commissioner does. We don't need somebody who's going to be the lightning rod for this kind of controversy. And, I mean, it was something that lasted for weeks, and then it influenced the way the NFL implements its personal conduct policy. And even now, the NFL takes a harder line on domestic violence, especially when it involves a female, than they ever did before, all because of Ray Rice.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, and out of the fact, I mean, he was the running back he was a top-tier running back in the NFL for a top-tier team in the NFL as well. All of it was crazy. And you're right. To this day, even with any incident we have now, I think our mind always goes back to Ray Rice, and it was their video along with it. That's all we ever think of, even with Ezekiel Elliott and the Vegas incident or Kareem Hunt, all those things. I think it always draws us back to Ray Rice. So I'm with you there. That was a crazy one, too. Can't disagree. All right. My last one here, I got to go with Colin Kaepernick. I mean, come on. I don't, off the field, the kneeling, but where it led off the field was unlike anything I think we've seen in the history of professional sports. Okay, this probably would have been my first pick, but I figured you might gloss over it, and I could keep it to number 3 because...
Is it really off field, though?
Well, I don't know.
It happened off the field, literally, but it's still there in the building.
Well, okay, it happened off the field, but what happened off the field after that is he literally wasn't allowed on the field anymore because of what he did just on the edge of the field, and we've never, ever had it become such a political issue and a president chiming in about not hiring a guy or not signing him or, calling him a bum or whatever it may be. That I think, is what makes it just the crazy to me, let alone the circumstances and the backlash and everything that went along with it. But the way the president got involved took it to a whole new another stratosphere, to where it literally became not a Kaepernick thing, it became an NFL thing, and it caught fire throughout our whole country and became polarizing. So I got to keep that. That's got to be in my draft.
Yeah, it was late August of 2016 when he first began to kneel during the national anthem. Other players followed suit, and it was a year later that it all really reached full boil, with the president getting involved and meetings between owners and players and some unfortunate comments that were made. And it's still, look, it's still lingering now. And Colin Kaepernick is still being, I believe, improperly frozen out. And I think that this is the last year. If he doesn't get a chance this year, it's never going to happen. And I think there's a chance. If the XFL gobbles up guys who get cut in 2 weeks and 5 days when they reduce the rosters of 53, if third-string and fourth-string quarterbacks get signed by the XFL, that pushes Kaepernick higher up on the list of guys who potentially could be called by NFL teams. So I feel like it's now, this year, or it's never. All right, one more. And this one is funny for everyone but the guy who did it. And, Chris, I'm surprised you didn't consider this one, because chances are you may have owned this device at some point in time if you were trying to beat a drug test. Ontario Smith, remember him?
Yes.
Draft pick of the Vikings?
Yes.
About 15 years ago or so.
The old Wizinator.
Came into the NFL with a little bit of a history of some positive marijuana tests. And look, we're on the record. We don't think any of that should matter. They shouldn't invade these guys' private lives. But still, the rules are the rules. And Ontario Smith had a device for beating the rules, and it was found in his luggage at an airport. And it turned out it was a prosthetic device aimed at allowing him to supply it with a clean sample so that he could, into a cup, or if you're riding in the back seat of the Chris Simms, Peter King car from Cleveland to Pittsburgh, either way, to provide a clean sample. And the Wizinator entered the lexicon. And the guys who actually founded the company, they ended up going to, I don't know if they went to jail, but they got arrested, they got charged, because a lot of these drug tests are done for federal employees who have safety-sensitive jobs. This is something that was being put out there to help people essentially break the law. So unless you bought a Wizinator, it's like the Shut Air Advantage. It's discontinued, baby. It's gone.
How do they do that? How do they put somebody in jail for that? Honestly, I'm amazed.
They sold them. It was illegal to manufacture and sell these things because it was subverting federal law by allowing FAA employees, other employees who are regulated by federal agencies that say you can't have certain percentages of alcohol or drugs in your system.
And what is
this? They've created a device that allowed people to break the law.
What I've always wondered too is, like, why did TSA get him in trouble with this thing too? That's what always amazed me. Like, we have an unidentified fake penis in someone's luggage. We need to get security out here in 2 seconds. Like, how does that become even a thing? That's where I was always amazed by that. Either way, I do remember that was a funny story. Yes.
It was Puck Technology. The two founders pleaded guilty in Pittsburgh federal court to a count of conspiracy to defraud the government, one count of conspiracy to sell drug paraphernalia, and they were sentenced to 6. One guy was sentenced to 6 months in prison. The other guy got 3 years of probation. So there are consequences.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.